Indianapolis is a medium-sized Midwestern city which has invested heavily in recent years in its downtown with impressive results. Not all that far away from downtown, however, the neighborhood known as the Near East Side is struggling.
We're in a very low-income neighborhood. This particular zip code led the state of Indiana in abandoned housing for years. Pretty high crime.
Mike Bowling is pastor of Inglewood Christian Church. His congregation has operated Daystar preschool since 1996, with a current enrollment of about 180 children.
Children who grow up here have some of the predictable challenges that come with low income. When we look at the ways in which our neighborhood and our city and our country and our world need to be transformed, we certainly think that education plays a critical role in that.
I visited Indianapolis to meet with Nicole Baker Fulgham, who founded the Expectations Project, dedicated to equalizing the playing field in public schools with the help of faith communities.
We do still have two very separate and unequal public school systems in our country, largely along the lines of race and class. The divide is still pretty stark, and it's largely seen around an individual's zip code in the neighborhood in which they grow up.
The experts all agree that the path to academic success begins early. So Nicole wanted me to see how congregations are stepping up to the challenge of assisting children by providing quality early childhood education. Daystar's preschool enrolls students from birth to 5 years old from all socioeconomic levels. Those with higher incomes pay the full, though modest, tuition, which averages for non-infants about $105 a week. Daystar is open from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. with 13 classrooms and 24 teachers, and construction is underway to add new classrooms and upgrade other space.
We have 2 people with master's degrees. We have a handful of folks that have bachelor's degrees, and then a bunch of folks that have CDAs, Child Development Associates degrees. And that's what's required to do high-quality early childhood education.
The 200-member congregation of Inglewood Christian Church is not wealthy, so Daystar does a lot on a comparatively small budget. Its highest-paid employees earn $12.50 an hour.
They're not going to ever make a lot of money. The economics doesn't work. You can't charge parents enough. So for now, you have to recruit people who are passionate about children and see it as a mission.
One parent who appreciates Daystar's mission is the mother of 4-year-old Kyron Johnson.
For my children, I prefer they go somewhere where it's they have goals as far as curriculum. I don't want to send them somewhere where they're just being babysat all day. I prefer they are learning something.
Inglewood is doing such amazing work in the school system for kids. And that's just a wonderful way to really minister God's love to a community, particularly for parents who may not have had any other affordable option for preschool. It's just phenomenal.
Across town, in the neighborhood called United Northwest Corridor, Nicole Baker Fulgham introduced me to Pastor Clarence Moore, who took us on a walk along Eugene Street.
Yeah, it's an interesting walk. 2 of our members, both of them are over 85 years of age, and been in the community a long time, doing very well. But right across the street where we're standing, we have the devastation. We just passed 2 doors down a drug house, and we lost 2 of our young people in the last year.
Pastor Moore's Northside New Era Church has also taken up the call of assisting low-income public school students with an after-school program called More Hope.
We ask for the worst kids. Those are the ones we want to help turn around. I often say that these kids are headed to what I call dropout boulevard. We can't let them live there.
And these kids get not only the benefit of committed volunteers to help them with homework, they're tutored by licensed teachers.
I'm not trained. I can't figure out how to help that kid get from A to B. Whereas that educator immediately will say, oh, he doesn't know how to regroup. All of a sudden the light bulb comes on, and that kid, instead of being afraid of math, instead of acting up in class so that everybody doesn't know that he's not getting it and he doesn't understand, all of a sudden he has got the concept.
Well, there are really 2 separate, as I said, and unequal public school systems in the country, and the more high-performing school systems tend to be where kids are living in often suburban communities, middle and upper middle class communities. The expectations we have for those kids are, of course these kids are going to college, but if you drive 20 miles into the urban areas near that suburban community, you just find a very different story. Because again, the expectation is, gosh, you know, we don't think many of these kids are going to make it into college, and we just think that we shouldn't have two different school systems that are right now de facto deciding for kids and for families who gets the shot to go to Harvard and be that physicist.
In March 2014, Indiana Governor Mike Pence signed a bill allocating $10 million for low-income preschool students in 5 counties, including 700 children in Marion County, where Indianapolis is located. 15 Daystar students directly benefit from what is called the Early Education Matching Grant, which the United Way supported for passage in the legislature.
We believe this is not just a moral issue, but it's a fundamental economic issue as well. And if you never catch up in education, you are less likely to graduate from high school. You are less likely to be prepared for the workforce and be able to earn a sustainable, livable wage.
Daystar is not only committed to provide quality preschool education, but also works hard to be a school for all kids. One student has a mother who's a pediatrician and a father who's a dentist. Parents of Daystar students call that kind of diversity a big part of the education here.
So coming to daycare, being around a different group of kids and the different cultures, it makes a difference. Trust me, when you send them off to school, it makes a big difference.
Children have to grow up saying, oh, you know, I had very close friends whose families really struggled, and I was aware that I had more than them. What we need are conversions. We need people who care more for their neighbors than they care for themselves.
That's a lesson little Olive Ann will likely learn soon, if she hasn't already, according to her parents.
We want her to love and appreciate and care about people, not where they're from, not what their parents do, not how much money's in the bank.
Education and certainly early childhood development isn't just reserved for people who can afford it.
Indiana now offers preschool to 40% of its children, with a target of 85% within 7 years. Pastor Mike Bowling knows he's in for a marathon, not a sprint.
And think what would happen if churches just decided this achievement gap in academics is just unacceptable. We will not allow urban black children to fall behind. We're just not going to allow it.
Nicole Baker Fulgham is also in for the long haul. She's been passionate about the issue ever since high school in Detroit.
My hope for common good is that we will get to the point where our nation is actually living out the promise that we say, that this is a land of opportunity and school is a great equalizer. People will look back and say, oh my goodness, the churches and the faith communities really stood up and were a significant part of this movement to bring change. I mean, that to me would be just amazing.